welcome to an interview with Mr. Rajesh Talwar. This is your host Ananya Sharma. Today we are going to discuss a different topic than usual. It is how Hinduism can be made still better. So Rajesh, can you just tell us what this topic is about and why this topic?
Jai Mata. Ananya, last episode we had discussed one of the great strengths of Hinduism compared to other great world religions, and that is the reverence that we have here for the sacred feminine. But today we are going to talk about how Hinduism can be made yet greater, how it can become more powerful, more relevant, more meaningful to people across the world, not only in India.
So Rajesh, I remember that in the last episode we talked about Jesus being the Son of God. But what about Jessica?
Yes, Ananya, with due respect to other great world religions, I pointed out that they are incomplete because they are very, in a sense, patriarchal. You have God, who is male in Christianity, and you have the Son of God, Jesus, who is also male. So where is the woman? In Islam, you have Allah, who is male. He has a prophet, Muhammad, who is male. So this is incomplete. In that sense, Hinduism is more complete. If you have Allahu Akbar, God is great. But you don't have Allahu Akbar. Allah was the old Arabic name for the female goddess. But the statues of the goddesses were destroyed in pre-Islamic history. And the sacred feminine was suppressed. So it's one of the great strengths. But today we are going to talk about some of the weaknesses in Hinduism and how, if they are corrected, Hinduism can become much, much greater and can become relevant to people across the world.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're trying to say that Hinduism can spread across the whole world. How is that possible?
Hinduism is currently frozen, Ananya, and we need to take it out of the fridge and unfreeze it. Let the waters of its truth flow. The first and most obvious way in which Hinduism is frozen is because of the caste system. The caste system has put it into a kind of limbo, and its truth cannot travel outside India's borders because of the caste system. So if we get rid of the caste system, half the job is done. The other thing is that I'm not suggesting that we should go out and send missionaries to convert people to Hinduism, but we should open our doors. If somebody wants to become a Hindu through his own wishes, we should welcome them. Right now we only have the Arya Samaj. The Arya Samaj carries out conversions to Hinduism, but the rest of Hinduism is in a state of, it's frozen. We are not going to welcome foreigners, and that is not a good thing.
So Rajesh, is Arya Samaj the only way a person can become Hindu?
Ananya, if somebody wants to marry a Hindu, say a Christian wants to marry a Hindu, or somebody from some other country wants to marry a Hindu, and they decide to go for a Hindu marriage, that only Arya Samaj is the only way out for them. They go to Arya Samaj, they give them a certificate that they got married, there's a conversion process that is carried out, the person becomes Hindu. Having said that, it's not actually the only way a person can become Hindu. And for foreigners are not going to go to the Arya Samaj because the Arya Samaj hardly has any centers overseas. So the way foreigners have been becoming Hindu is through the Hare Krishna movement. But there is a kind of unwelcoming attitude in India towards foreigners who want to embrace Hinduism, and this is something we need to get rid of. I mean, there's a song from that Raj Kapoor film, "Main maan hamara Bhagwan ki tarah hai." We welcome the foreigner as a guest whom we treat next to God. But what is this kind of welcoming if we are not allowing them to become Hindu, if they wish to become Hindu? As I repeat, I don't want us to become missionaries. I'm against the idea of missionaries, but we should open the doors to people who want to become Hindu.
So Rajesh, what do you think about the Hare Krishna movement?
I think they've done great work. They've taken out beautiful illustrations of Lord Krishna in his adulthood as well as when he's a baby. So they are beautiful illustrations, and they have opened the doors in a sense. The good thing about Hinduism is that we don't have, a central authority who can say, oh, you are not Hindu. There is no Ayatollah who will say, oh, this is not, Hindu. Or there is no Pope who will exclude people. So the Hare Krishna movement started. These people are all Hindus. And that's a way to bypass the restrictions which Hinduism has put. But we need to formally open the doors of foreigners who are, who are attracted by different aspects of Hinduism and who wish to embrace Hinduism. We need to be more welcoming of foreigners. We can't be a closed club, an elite club, that only people in this part of the planet can become Hindus. We need to be more welcoming. It doesn't mean, as I said, that we go and send missionaries, but if somebody is attracted to the philosophy, if somebody is attracted to the stories of this land, if somebody wants to join in a spiritual pathway, we should welcome them. And currently, instead of welcoming them, we put restrictions on them. There are places where people are not allowed to enter temples. They say, oh, you are a foreigner, you cannot enter. And if the foreigner says, I am a Hindu, the priests in the temple, they don't accept it. They say, no, 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 you are a foreigner, how can you be a Hindu? So these kind of restrictions should go.
So Rajesh, can you give us an example of an important temple where foreigners have not been allowed to enter?
Ananya, in recent months, the Jagannath temple has come into some controversy because of this issue. There are foreigners who wanted to enter the Jagannath temple and they were stopped from entering. Some of them said, we are Hindus, we want to enter, we are believers, but the priesthood still stopped them. So in the temple, they have been very, restrictive in allowing other people to enter. And even there was an incident involving the president, which came out in the newspapers. Later on, the president's office denied it. But there was a story that because of his caste, the president and his wife are not allowed to enter the Jagannath temple. So, this kind of a thing is completely not acceptable. The same temple, some years ago, there was a controversy. Indira Gandhi wanted to enter the temple, but the priesthood stopped it. They didn't allow the Prime Minister, and she was the most powerful person in the country, to enter. They said, no, you married a Parsi. So this was so wrong at so many levels. Firstly, if she marries a Parsi, why did they assume that she automatically became, lost her Hinduism? Why should she be prevented to enter? So these kind of incidents occur, and they are, by modern standards, quite shameful. I can understand that in the past, there may have been some reasons for the priests to stop people from entering because they were a bit worried about whether these people have respect for Hinduism. Or there may be issues involving modesty, how people are dressed, how they are attired when they are going to enter a temple. Those issues are separate. They can be handled. But just to put a blanket ban that, people who are not from this country, from this land, that they cannot enter a temple, that is just, something shameful for a country like India with our, position today in the world. We are more confident, we are stronger. There are, rules which can be set regarding modest attire, and people should be allowed. I'm not the only person who's saying this. The Supreme Court has said the same thing.
What did the Supreme Court say?
The Supreme Court said that the temple management should, reconsider its attitude. It should be more welcoming of foreigners. People want to just see the temple, like they want to go and see a church overseas. Nobody stops them. So they should be permitted. And this is a kind of sectarianism which should go. In fact, Supreme Court quotes Lord Krishna as saying that he's in a conversation with Arjun. Lord Krishna tells him that those who worship other gods also worship me. Now this is such a beautiful and profound statement. Those who worship other gods also worship me. I can't help but saying that if you compare it with the philosophy of other world religions, for example in Christianity, Jesus says, I am the way, and the way through the Father is only through me. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad says, the way to Allah is because I will tell you the teachings. So if you worship other gods, you are not open to Islam. In the Quran, there is the word kafir used 134 times. So this is the great tolerance of this land. Krishna says, if you worship other gods, you also worship me. So the priests, they should go and read their scriptures. This is what Lord Krishna is saying. It doesn't matter if people belong to other religions. If they come in with reverence, if they come in with respect, we should allow them into our temples. We should welcome them. Consider, for example, that today one of the most prominent Hindus in the world, the foreigner Hindu, is a lady called Tulsi Gabbard. And what happens if Tulsi tomorrow wants to enter an important temple? Are we going to stop her?